We talked about it on Wednesday's pod, Mike and I, that is. Colin Kaepernick, that's when the story broke around about, and it has developed since then. So the NFL announced earlier in the week that Kaepernick is doing a workout for as many teams of the 32 teams that want to send representatives as possible. 11 teams have signed up for this. The workout is happening on Saturday. At the time of recording this, 11 teams have said we're going to send front office or coaching personnel to check it out. Arizona, Atlanta, Cleveland, Denver, Detroit, Miami, New England, the Giants, the Jets, Tampa Bay, and Washington. So your Steelers haven't signed up yet. They've already committed to attend. We expect a few more, of course. It's probably going to be a snowball effect. Difficulty in terms of who exactly from the organisation can attend. Obviously, the head coaches and any of the coaching staff, core coaching staff can't. But front office can, and there is talk that all these teams are sending representatives to this workout where Kaepernick will be worked out. He will have interviews as well for all of those that want to sit down and talk to him. There are going to be receivers set up from the Atlanta area. That's where the workout is going to take place. Hugh Jackson, the former Cleveland Browns head coach, is going to coordinate things. So the glare of the media, the world's media, will be on this as well. So does this mean, Paul Nicholson, that Colin Kaepernick is going to play in the NFL again?
I don't think that's anywhere close right now. I think it does depend on the skill set that he can show in his workout. I don't think there's any disputing the fact that Kaepernick was a very special athlete when he came in as a second-string quarterback at San Francisco, and he showed a very exciting brand of quarterback. And that run to the Super Bowl was no accident. He's a fabulously mobile athlete. But ultimately, the politics took over, didn't it? And since then, we don't know what kind of athlete Colin Kaepernick is. He
says, his people say he's been keeping in shape. He is as fit as he's ever been. Certainly in terms of conditioning, he is going to tell that story. Of course, there's a fundamental difference keeping fit and being in the game. He'll probably be the first to admit that and to recognize that. And if he does come back to the game, it would be a significant leap of faith for teams in the same way, not dissimilar to when a head coach is out of the game for a long time and you think, well, are they too distant from the game to come back in and make a difference? But Kaepernick is a young man. He is, by all accounts, keeping his edge on in that respect. Do you think this is one big PR stunt, or do you think there's a little bit more substance to it than maybe could meet the cynical eye at first?
I think it's 90% publicity stunt, but I think 10% of this, and we have to not ignore this 10%, is the fact that he could come back and he could make a difference. Now, we didn't know a lot about Kaepernick when he first came into his big run with the San Francisco 49ers. So what's to say that his story is not going to be told and have another chapter? I'm not going to bat against this guy because he said that he was keeping himself fit, he's in the best shape he's ever been. Well, he's bound to say that, isn't he? He's not going to say that he's a dud. So
coming hanging out in bars, having a few, no, fair enough. But I guess also the evolution, certainly the progression of NFL offenses, even in the last 2 to 3 years, and the quarterbacks that are particularly succeeding at the moment, that probably plays into Kaepernick's hands a little bit in terms of the skill set he has as a quarterback. That you look at whether it's Watson, whether it's Jackson, you look at the running skills of Josh Allen, forget his limitations in the air, the way that and so many other examples, the way that offenses are evolving, definitely, I think, plays to his strengths, doesn't it?
Definitely. I think when he started upping the stats on rushing yards for a quarterback, everybody started taking notice about, you can change your brand of football based on what kind of quarterback you have. You look at the kind of quarterbacks that Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger are there, sitting in the pocket kind of guys, finding the right solution.
Not the most mobile.
No, but then you look at someone like Russell Wilson at Seattle and what he's changed at Seattle and how they bulldoze their way to a Super Bowl. And Kaepernick is part of this generation of quarterbacks. If he's in great shape and he still has the eye and the speed, there's probably a team out there who are going to take a chance on him. And if you remove all of the political stuff and he's still a good enough athlete, then there are teams out there who have got this need.
Mike Carlson made the point on our podcast on Wednesday, which I thought was a really salient one, that it could be a combination of things. Yes, a PR stunt. There's certainly positive PR value for the NFL to be seen, given what's happened over the last few years, to be involved in something like this. But it could also have a very constructive end result for Kaepernick. Furthermore, he went as far as to say this is perhaps a statement by the NFL to say, irrespective of whether you believe there has been collusion or otherwise, we are now drawing a line under what has happened in the last few years, and Colin Kaepernick is on the market with our blessing.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think there are other players out in the sort of cloud nine of football who are great athletes still, who will probably look at the situation and think, well, maybe if it works out for Kaepernick, maybe it could work for me too. It's not for the same reasons, of course, but if you look at someone like Antonio Brown, who's been in the headlines for the wrong reasons this year, if you were to put him out there, and I think there are people who would want him as an athlete to play for their football team, and that's the most important thing for me right now, in my opinion. Kaepernick, if he's good enough, then there will be a team out there who will take him. And are they willing to take on the, say, political baggage maybe that comes with Kaepernick? Well, if you've got the right coach who's going to use him the right way and the right offensive coordinator, then I think if he's the right athlete for that team, that he could be a real success story. This could be a game. He could be the game changer of the last 20 years,
right,
based on how he plays and what he's gone through. So I think you're right. I think the NFL want to draw a line under this, and then they want to move on. And with anything of this magnitude, sometimes you have to draw a line under it and just move on to what everybody wants, and that's football.
You look at the rosters around at the moment. Not specifically the starters, although Kaepernick will say he feels that he can start in the NFL, but you look at the rosters and the depth chart, the backup quarterbacks, teams that carry 3 quarterbacks, there is no argument, is there, that Kaepernick, in terms of quality alone, deserves a spot on a roster?
I think absolutely right. You look at what's happening at my team. You know, we've got Ben Roethlisberger in a sling on the sidelines, and you've got a second-string quarterback that I wouldn't toss into the Cincinnati Bengals. No disrespect to anybody who's a Bengals fan, but Hodges is our third string, and he's decent.
Yeah.
I reckon if Mike Tomlin said to the Steelers organization, I can manage this guy, and he brought his brand of football, it would be exciting. If he was to come through this workout and he has the confidence and a coach has the confidence to take him on, I have no doubt that Kaepernick would fit in somewhere that would give him the freedom in the backfield to say, you know what, why don't you go out there and prove to us that you can still do it? There may be a team at the early part of next year who haven't got a great deal of talent on their roster who's saying he's worth the gamble. I think he may just play NFL next season.
Hope you enjoyed the Nat Coombs Show presented by Paddy Power Fantasy. There's plenty more where that came from. Just click subscribe to ESPN UK and you won't miss a trick.